All right.
I'm Pierce, the driven snowman.
Good evening, Tiffany.
Why didn't I see? Okay. Hi, Benny.
How are you, love?
How you doing?
I'm all right. I sure hate that this is a thing, and I'm being completely sincere when I tell you that I do everything in my power in terms of using the terms of service to remove this woman from our platform.
Which one?
Ziggy.
Ziggy?
Yes, ma'am. I promise
All
you.
right.
I would love to climb the mountain of Ziggy.
So how are we gonna accomplish it? Listen, I don't really want to take anybody's channel down, you know what I mean? I'm really not spiteful like that. I know Ziggy's trying to contact my ex and do all these crazy things. I'm just not a shit person like her. What do you have in mind? What's your plan?
Well, I'm seeing how it seems like she's causing you some genuine discomfort, and I hope you can genuinely see that I've been on the track, trying to be on the track of bridging gaps and the like, and so she just is a bad blemish on this community, and not only that, but she certainly has a financial motivating factor to keep on being.
Yeah, Benny. The only reason she's here is to pay her bills with YouTube.
Yes, ma'am.
I know she's trying to. Ziggy has a lot of problems, and I'm really not sure what the problem is.
It was in parenting, Tiffany.
It's a what?
Her problem was with her parenting, like when she was growing up.
Oh, well, that explains a lot.
No, I mean, I'm just trying to kick it real. It all kind of derives from somewhere, but I think that she's really put a serious sort of stain on.
She has a lot of the drama that has come from Ziggy is why Summer's case has become so tarnished.
And you know what? That's where I have to wave the white flag, and I agree with you because I still bear a wound from the whole, having to deal with the wells on the day that the bones came into the play. That was a bad day, and she was, she fostered and was the curator of that day, and so, with that being said, I'll just use the terms of service, and I'll snatch it away. I really don't want to either because it's this slippery slope, Tiffany, where she depends on that to feed her kid and to feed herself and to make her life mechanized. But
so what did you do before YouTube?
I don't know, honestly. Oh, I think she
sold used makeup.
Well, then she can go back to selling used makeup. I mean, at the end of the day, she's doing these kind of things that are so messed up that something's got to stop somewhere. Somebody's got to stop somewhere.
Yes, ma'am.
You know what I mean?
She's already hurt many people with her dialogue and her commentary, and it's not, I suppose if you had to pick the lesser of two evils in terms of who we would allow Ziggy to hurt, as a creator, I would prefer Ziggy to just be able to hurt people on YouTube. But, I know that Don and Candace don't have the most fond aura in this community, and I understand that. I represent due process, and it will always be.
I know we see the case two completely different ways. Like Benny is on. Everybody knows, this has been for a while.
But to be fair, they brought that on themselves.
Yeah, but I can talk about this situation with Ziggy right now. I have no problem doing that. In fact, thank you, Emergency Me, and I didn't see that. So let me grab this really quick. Let me just read Emergency Me. I can't find it, of course, because it's so far back on my StreamYard. Benny, shout out. Oh, Emergency Me wanted to shout out AB. She sent a super chat and said, Benny, shout out AB, please.
AB, bro, I don't have no problem. AB, I really don't have a problem with you, bro. It's just the politics, and then we take it a little bit too far, and we try to insert the bamboo under each other's nails. And I really don't have a problem with you, bro, because somebody explained to me their perspective of what you do, and I saw it, and it clicked, and it was like, yeah, That makes sense. So I'm starting to see that a lot of different people, they have their own way of coming at the situation. But you know, I genuinely saw how upset you were, Tiffany, about the bones, and I was like, I stand with Tiffany about that. You know,
Well,
It
that was
wasn't-
just unnecessary. That was unnecessary rhetoric. That
The
didn't need to
bones
be brought
gets me
up.
like nothing else. I don't think anything has gotten me upset like the bones got me upset.
I could tell, and you know what? I guess Tiffany, you know,
Thank you
over
for
here-
saying that to AB, because AB does, Benny, no matter what side of the fence you stand on,
he's on Summer's
AB
side.
cares about Summer. He
Absolutely,
really
I do know
does.
that. So Scott,
We're just
I
on
hope that-
different opposite sides of the spectrum when it comes to like our beliefs on the case, you know?
Absolutely. And I hope that I can extend an olive leaf to or an olive branch to Scott and it be worth something to him. But I'll tell you what, Tiffany,
Thank
you. You definitely, in terms of you know, you or Ziggy, you definitely you exhibit an elegance that Ziggy does not have. And with that being said, I think that, you know, really really, I think I come over here to tell you that you're bigger, man. You're the more classy woman. You've got the more refined situation going on here. You do true crime. You know what? I think it would be such a beautiful look for you to just be able to just not even look at that woman anymore, because you are leagues above her. You know, and you know, to not even fall into that, because
Well, thank you. Because honestly, I wanted to do this weekend, I really wanted to do a live stream for Summer. And here I am sitting here addressing Ziggy. And it is a problem because it does take away from Summer. But Ziggy doesn't care, because all Ziggy does on her channel is Karama. I mean, she, in all fairness, she does label her channel Karama.
She does.
So you know, she doesn't lie about what she does, but
No.
at the same time, it's hurting Summer's case. And
it has, in a major way. And you know, not to cut you off, but like when she talked about those bones, Tiffany, I can't tell you the wail that came from Candace from the other end of that phone before everything was sorted out or whatever. It was like it happened in a kind of a jet lag, and by the time it got, you know, to Candace, there was just this wail, and you know, and Don was, you know, all emotional, and it was like she still has no idea, because I've heard her, she can still chuckle about that situation, and I assure you, like, I think she was probably the only one that got a chuckle out of that. So
so,
you know,
Benny, I don't know if you can discuss it, but could I ask you, because it did cross my mind, actually, the bone situation was actually one of the first times that I did take into consideration, what if, you know, what if they were, that was a question of mine in my own mind, what if they were targeted, God forbid, and what if those were Summers, and what if that was the last of Summer to ever be seen online, and that was the way that it was handled. So from your perspective, because I'm not in communication with Don and Candace, but you are, could you explain, even in just a nutshell without saying too much, how Don and Candace, what would you describe it as, from your perspective, when that happened, their reaction to the bones? Was it like, could you explain a little, like, or no?
I could, and you know, it was such a strange dynamic, Tiffany, because it was like, you know, and I don't want to get emotional, because that was a hard day. It really was, like, sincerely, because Tiffany, what happened was like the wail and the grief and the sort of the things that you can't describe. They were all present, and they were on the phone, and I'm sure they were echoing, you know, through that holler that day. And then to just shortly after that to have it sort of all turned around, and it be, oh, ha ha, it was just a YouTube joke, you know, ah ha ha, you know, Fred Hill, he played a trick on Ziggy, and you know, and ha ha, Ziggy wasn't, you know, sharp enough to figure out the game, and And so it was like a complete, I mean, you have to imagine, Tiffany, like believing for even a moment that your child is dead, and then finding out that some YouTuber later on got taken for a ride by Fred Hill. And then later on, a couple of days later, like she shows up at these people's church after doing that, and she she solicits her daughter to milk them for a dog that wasn't ready to leave. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, Don and Candace left it. And I said, but you have to remember all what happened where Ziggy got to their door to take that dog. She had completely taken these people all the way to imagining their child dead, and then giving it back, giving them hope back by saying, oh, it was just some deer bones. We knew it was, and show up at the church, sweat them at the church, and then come over after that and have your daughter cry for a dog in front of Don. And it was the full range. Like, that is the most despicable and deplorable thing, that I could imagine somebody having had done to them. Like, I was in such shock and awe. It was like just my words, Tiffany, weren't enough. And it was like, okay, Benny, you got to hold back, because this isn't your daughter. This isn't your niece. This is a little girl off the internet, and you're letting a woman with a moniker and a name like Ziggy, get inside of your heart and your mind and your body, and just control your emotions. And so I had to really, I had to basically ignore her completely. It was the only way that I could survive on being here and keep doing what I'm trying to do, and be in the same fish tank as Ziggy. Like, I have to be able to completely ignore her. And because of what she did to me and to Summer and to her brothers and to all the other family, not just Don and Candace. Separate Don and Candace away from it. But for all the rest of the family that didn't have anything to do with it.
Right.
Like, why would you do that to them?
Mm-hmm.
So
or to anybody, yeah. And okay, so even if so that was my whole point. Take away, even if people have certain feelings about Don and Candace, what about what it did to all of the subscribers? And
Absolutely.
What about what it did to everyone who cares so much about Summer? It was disgusting. And I think that was the defining moment, that it was very clear to me, not that it hadn't been before, but at that very moment, I knew Ziggy was not in any way, shape, or form worried about Summer at all. So it was absolutely the most vile thing that I've ever seen somebody on YouTube do. So what do you have in mind about Ziggy? What did you want to do?
What I would like to do, Tiffany, and I think that you could be very instrumental in helping, the community rise to this new level. And I think that what we need to do as creators is I think we have a responsibility to sit down and talk about a code of ethics. We have to have a code of ethics that we all adhere to, and that, if someone steps outside of that, there almost be, a judicial committee amongst all of us. I mean, we're all way smart enough, most of us, and so if we really want to do good for these children, like, we have to all be on the same accord. And I don't think that there's any way that we could ever get Ziggy to adhere to the accord that we absolutely have to even handle sensitive information like children's information. And so I think that she needs to be educated. I feel like had she not done the bones, we may be able to rehabilitate her in some way, but my opinion is she has to go. I boycott her, and if I were a part of a vote, I would vote her off the island.
Well, Ziggy has been voted off the island. I personally, I have a big problem with what Ziggy is doing
Me too.
to Summer. So
Do we remember, Tiffany, that Ziggy was the one that came out with Griff about the fake CPS in the beginning? You know,
I do remember what Ziggy came forward with in the beginning about the boys. Yes,
yep. So it's
I actually brought that up in the
I
very
remember.
yeah.
Yep. And you know, I want to take an opportunity to publicly praise you and Scott, because you guys actually were trying to scream to the high heavens about Brad, and that sort of you guys doing that. It changed the way some people looked at you for a minute, because Brad was this awe-inspiring guy, and so you know, I wish that I had not discounted the way you and Scott were trying to expose that situation at that time. Like, you know, I have, just like bringing Ernie Shell in, like I have some guilt about not jumping on when it made good sense what you were doing, and so I you know, I apologize for chastising you about the stuff with Brad. That wasn't right. We don't have to agree on everything, but I do agree with you on some things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I want to make it. I want to make it a little more clear, I guess, that now that Don's in jail, and I want to preface that by saying I'm excited for Mr. Wells' opportunity to get some help. He didn't take it on his own accord, and he was being supervised by the state and the county, and they chose for him to take it involuntary. And if that's their choice, they're the experts. I'm excited for him. But I can tell you now that certainly my dynamic changes in all of it, because, you know, it wasn't ever protecting Don and Candace because they're Don and Candace. It was just protecting everyone in America's right to a clean trial, no matter what anything looks like in the past, in the future, in the side. Like,
I understand that everybody's innocent until proven guilty. I get that.
yes, ma'am.
Right.
You have to understand the way that you act. The perception is everything, sir. And
Absolutely.
the way that you act, the way that you hold yourself in a court of public opinion is the way that you're going to be seen, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
Benny,
So,
do
you know,
you
maybe some people
find
didn't think about that when they showed their asses here on YouTube, and maybe people wouldn't have been down on them so much, right?
Correct, ma'am.
Right. Okay, that's all I want to say.
Yes, ma'am.
do you find any of so can I ask you what you think about the lack of emotion when it comes to let's go rewind back to the beginning, before you ever talked to Don, before you ever talked to Candace. Did you find it to be at all alarming that there wasn't any emotion coming from Don Wells?
I don't. And I'll explain why, because quite honestly, you know, Don wanted to be able to scream to the world about his daughter, but Don isn't a very brave man all the time. And a lot of times, in order for Don to get his bravery up, he'd have to drink. And when Don drinks, Don can talk about the most damaging thing. Don can talk about things that happened to him in prison that he can laugh about them while he's drunk. But while he's sober, you can't even talk to him about it, because it'll break him to pieces and cry. And so,
Have you observed Don crying?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, on 3 different occasions. One was in person, and then 2 have been on the phone. And I mean, just a complete collapse of Don, where he was on the floor slobbing, and you know, and you know, Tim was there patting him on the back, and you know, just a complete fracture.
How about Candace?
Yes. Actually, Candace cries all the time, but Candace grew up, you know, sort of tomboyish, and I think that, and in fact, I know Candace grew up in a culturing where when you cried, somebody always told you, "Now, if you want to cry, I'll give you something to cry about." Like that's the way I grew up too. And so for me, I've probably cried more as a man than I did as a child because I was always threatened to, you know, be given something to cry about. And so I've actually, Candace cry every few days on the phone with me. And that's
every few days.
Every few days. Yeah. It just, you know, a couple of days in a row, I try to keep conversation light with her and try to keep it about what's, you know, about the 6 inches in front of her face and deal with that. But then of course, every couple of few days, you gotta talk about the long game, the boys and Summer and Don, and all three of those are just, you know, there's just no way any human could be confronted with, she's genuinely lost everyone, Tiffany, except for her mom right now. Everyone.
Well, speaking of her mom, because I was actually just thinking that while you were speaking, do you know why it is that Candace Harrer has not spoken out for Summer? Has that ever been discussed, or is it not a topic of, you know, conversation?
Yeah. Grandma Candace, she's from the old school. Like she, you know, like what goes on online, like it makes her know never mind. She's intelligent enough to realize she can see what's happened to Don and Candace by being online. And so there's absolutely no way, like you'd have to trick her in some kind of way. And she's so guarded against every single new person in life being a potential YouTuber that, you know, she's kind of extra communicated herself. So yeah, like I really admire Grandma Candace's ability and need to stay anonymous. Like, you know, not having focused on Candace Harrer, not having the time to focus on her has given our community and the police community, the real law enforcement community, time to focus on Summer more. You know, they're not dealing with all the crazy psychic calls about Candace and this, that, and the third, and the arguing, and you know, Grandma Candace jumping on lives and people thinking this is going on. And like she is, by staying offline, she's essentially avoided the whole crime spree, the whole crime wave, you know, of what could happen to her.
Well, I guess I just wonder, because I know that she spoke out for Rosemary Bly, her daughter, but I've not seen her at even once. Do you think she has any plans of ever speaking for Summer?
Yeah, but I mean, I'll tell you what, like, I mean, in all realms of, you know, law, whether it be civil, whether it be criminal, whether it be family, so much of this stuff is supposed to happen in a vacuum, right? And what that means is that only in the last 20 years, with the introduction of all this tech, have people outside of the counties or communities where crime happens had the ability to interact and change the course of, you know,
I agree with that.
Yeah, said situation. And so, you know, 20 years ago, this situation would have happened in a vacuum. I do believe that law enforcement would be, you know, much further ahead in the investigation because they wouldn't be dealing with YouTube calls.
I just need to address something. No, Mary and Jeannie's case has not gone silent. Just because you're not hearing about it does not mean that there's nothing going on with it. Please do not discuss Mary and Jeannie's case in my chat and speak of it as if you know of anything that is going on. I don't remember who even just said that, but I just saw it pass by. You do not know what's going on with Mary and Jeannie's case. Don't speak about it in my chat if you don't know what's going on. That's all I ask respectfully. Thank you. Go ahead. I apologize. I just don't want these things being written in my chat that are not factual.
Listen, Benny, here's from somebody on the outside looking in, right? You come across really harsh a lot of times, right? And
I have to.
I understand. Let me finish. And at the end of the day, I think probably your heart is somewhere in the middle here. I think you're trying to do the right thing, but at times you say the wrong thing, right? And we all have a tendency to do that on YouTube, right? And my point with you is that I saw you say that Don and Candace were laughing about the bones. So were they laughing about it or were they upset about it?
Afterward, yeah. No. You're right. After we got through the situation and we got to a point where we could look at it, the whole situation, after even the dog, we were able to have a laugh about it.
Okay. Okay. That's cool. I get it. Look, at the end of the day, I know that, I've been saying it on my channel, like, in the court of law, is you are innocent until you're proven guilty, right?
Even if you're sitting in jail and you
that's
have no
right,
bond.
right. And I have a law background, right? And my point is that you're not going. You have to prove yourself innocent, because you're guilty in the court of public opinion.
In a bond for profit system, which America is, like, it doesn't matter. Even though you're innocent, they take you to jail in handcuffs, and then you got to pay to get out of jail.
Right, I understand.
Yeah, that bond for profit system makes it a guilt before innocent situation.
Yeah, I agree.
Because
but you have to understand that you've got a wide range of people on YouTube that watch all of you, right? And you're trying to advocate for the whales, and this person wait, let me finish.
All right, have a good night, Tiffany.
Okay,
just let me finish for a second. I wasn't trying to be rude to the guy. I was trying to explain to him that people are going to perceive all of you differently, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No worries. It's okay.
I wasn't trying to be rude to the guy. I was just trying.
That's okay. Blue Jean Baby is not welcome in my chat. Please get them out.
I was just trying to make him understand that everybody's going to see everything different, and that at the end of the day, that he can say that he wasn't advocating for the whales, but I feel like he was. I mean, I'm a pretty intelligent person, and I also think logically. And Tiffany, you get a hard rap a lot of times, and it aggravates me because you have been here from day one, right? And it really does. It pisses me off, to tell you the truth. And when I get pissed off, my mouth starts going. So I'm gonna be quiet. But at the end of the day, I'm always gonna have your back. And I don't like anybody, if I even think that they're trying to give you a hard time or they're trying to smooth something over on you. I don't know why these people think you're a dumb woman. And nobody has to tell you, watch out for this one or watch out for that one. You're not a stupid woman.
I'm far from stupid.
It's not like you can't see the forest for the trees. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the Ziggy woman, look, she's beneath you, right? I mean, I hate to say that.
Well, honestly, I don't think anybody's beneath me.
I mean, as far as the things that she says and the things that she brings to the table, right? That's what I mean. Like,
what was it that you had asked him that he left the panel? I was
I didn't say I didn't. I was trying to get to a point.
No, I just wanted to know what the question was because I was texting real quick. I was writing.
I didn't ask him a question. I said that he's over here advocating for the whales. This one's over here advocating for this one, and this one's over here doing it. That's what I was trying to.
Well, no, I mean, in all fairness, I had asked him a question. You know what I mean? Like I had asked him a question, and I think he was answering me.
I thought he finished answering you. I apologize.
Oh,
I wasn't. I mean,
he could have. I think it was more so he came up to talk about Ziggy, but I actually asked him about Candace Don, which was nice of him to answer me. I
asked him about the bones.
Oh, you asked him about the bones.
I did ask him a question about how I saw him myself say that they laughed about the bones.
Who laughed about the bones?
Don and Candace had laughed about the bones. I saw him say that. And this was before tonight, okay? And so he was explaining to me that they did have a laugh about it afterwards. After they got through it, they had a laugh about it. That's what he said.
Okay.
That was my question. They laughed about the bones. So I wanted to know why he's saying that they were so upset about the bones. If they laughed about the bones, which was it? That's what I asked. I think he got mad. I think he got upset because I said he was advocating for the Wells, but hasn't he been advocating for the Wells the whole time?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's no secret though. I mean,
I mean,
Benny's
that's not a
on
secret, right? That's
this.
not a secret.
Yeah, no, not at all. I don't know why everybody in the chat is freaking out, because they know that Benny is on the side of Don and Candace. They know, I mean, this is not new news. This is not a surprise to anybody, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, he didn't say anything that's a double zero secret or anything that you have to kill somebody to get out of. I mean, he's been advocating for the Wells since he came on YouTube, correct?
Yeah, yes,
That's all I
absolutely.
literally said. And my point was that people are going to perceive the way that they perceive him by the way that they act. That's all I was trying to get at.
That's okay. I mean, yes, it's a bombshell, Ebby's a bombshell reloaded. So criminality. Oh my God, hold on a minute. Teresa is in here. Hold on a second. We can all thank Candace and Don no more, but this is America. Hey, Teresa. Hold on. Let me make sure. Can somebody drop Teresa's link in my chat, please?
I certainly wasn't trying to make you feel uncomfortable, and I'm sorry if I was.
Shit, let me I took all the wrenches a month ago or so. There you go, you got it. It's back. So well, more than anything, really, we're all on the search for answers, okay? And regardless of how people feel, I would like to ask like the specific question that I asked, about Brandis. Does she ever plan to speak? Or, when he was trying to explain what he knows, like those are important questions to me. So
he answered you.
No. Oh, I think maybe Bomb. I don't know, because like I said, I had just like looked down at my phone to send a text, and I wasn't hearing exactly what happened until it like was over. Do you know what I mean? So like I guess I have to go back and like watch, but I feel like maybe it just wasn't like right timing. Do you know what I mean? And maybe it was like a misunderstanding of sorts, but
I think it was.
Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. I feel like I now I wanted to ask a couple of questions, and I lost my train of thought. Just let me gather my thoughts. You're good. Don't worry about it. It's fine. I'm looking at my chat, and the chat is getting upset. I understand. There's nothing wrong with having a conversation, like a quick conversation, and everyone's freaking out thinking, oh my God, like, and I just like watching the chat, trying to listen to Benny, listen to you, thinking of, he actually he wanted to handle something with Ziggy up here. He wanted to deal with something to do with Ziggy, but I changed the subject. It was me that changed the subject. So, oh, I haven't forgotten what Benny did to me. Stop asking. Stop asking me. Do you think I forgot? For real? No, I haven't. Trust me. I'm more worried about Summer. Thank you.
The rabbit hole goes deep. I went back. Bomb said he was advocating for the Wells, and he was trying to interrupt and said, no, he wasn't. Bomb was just trying to finish what she was saying. That's all.
Linz has a question. Let me answer her. I'm just thinking, and do you think Don and Candace being separated will make a difference? Hold on one sec. I lost it. Do you think Don and Candace being separated will make a difference in them speaking to LE about details? Will they turn on each other? Maybe I'm way off base. I'm coming back in, missing an hour, but curious. Linz, you just walked. I was actually playing a crazy video right before this, so you didn't miss much, I don't think. Like, if you went back 15 minutes and two-speed it, you catch right up. Do I think that it'll make a difference in Don and Candace speaking to LE about details? Yes, I do, but maybe not. So, yeah, 50%, sure, it could make a difference, but then there's a 50% chance it might not make a difference because we all know how this works. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. Will they turn on each other? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think Don and Candace will turn on each other. I really
I
don't.
realize where we smack the trolls in the teeth.
I think they're probably pretty solid. I mean, they've been together for 13 years. I think they've been through some situations where there's been some infidelity and they've made it through that. Do I think that they're going to turn on each other? No. Robert, that's all good. That's any difference to me. Benny's saying he played, there's nothing to play. Played me how? So Benny came up here and everything he was saying was what? Bullshit? Where's he saying that at? What was bullshit and what's he saying he played me with? What exactly? I wish people would not be focusing on Benny and focus on Summer. I really don't get it. It's like people don't even stop to take a fucking second to even think. No, Robert's been around a long time, Robert Sharp. I mean, he's not a troll, but I don't know, maybe he heard something that he said you were the wood and he was the Karate Kid standing on it. Okay. I don't know how.
Oh, they're slingshot to tell me again I don't have a law degree.
CTLB
I never said I had a law degree. For fuck's sake. My God, I never said I was a lawyer ever. So funny to me. Blows my mind. I know how to read, right? I know how to read. And yesterday something Tiffany came up that I wanted to tell you about and I forgot. I was talking to Snooki on my live stream. We were talking about the Wells case and how he had gotten charges in Utah, right? Okay, well, the Supreme Court said that you can't retroactively go back and charge anyone in Utah because of the Utah Constitution. So I read that on my live stream. I found the case law to it, and the Supreme Court in 2020 said that sexual abuse victims cannot go back and retroactively charge someone.
That's not the Supreme Court, ma'am. We're talking about family court at the county level, the state level. You're not talking about Supreme Court sex charge, madam.
What? Are you
Did you
talking
realize?
Hold on, because I don't want this to get out of control or anything. Hold on a second.
Tiffany, you know what? I would really love to have a think tank with you opposite of the paralegal. I don't really want to talk to the paralegal. I do want to talk with you though, because
you can talk with her and I'll get off the panel. That's no problem. But what I was saying that there's no way he could have been charged. That's all I was.
No, that's okay. That's completely inaccurate. There is a complete way Donald Wells could be charged with sexual assault. Why are you saying that?
Because the Supreme Court said that you can't. That's
no,
why.
This is not the Supreme Court.
We're not. Okay.
You're tripping. You are tripping.
Why are you
Donald Wells can absolutely be
assault.
Do not tell these people that. That's a lie.
There's no statute of limitation in Utah.
It's the threshold.
Yeah, there's no statute of limitations. Okay, there's no statute of limitations. And then they took it to the Supreme Court. The case law is there. All you have to do is read it.
Well, there's
You're
no
wrong,
such.
man. You're absolutely wrong.
That I'll let you go. No, I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong.
Are you gonna run away now? Oh man, that was cold blooded. Tiffany, listen. I really don't have no problem with you, sweetie. Like for real. Like I just, I'm really trying to kick game with you and trying to really just open the eyes of a lot of people in the way that it should be in America. Like what we're doing on this YouTube, saying anything about people, having done something before the police say they've done something, that's a dereliction of being an American. It doesn't matter if you like Don Wells or not. If you love being an American and you respect troops going overseas to fight and die for freedom and justice, then you have to believe in innocence before guilt. If you got a granddaddy that's in the military or a daddy that was a cop, then you must admire innocence before guilt. Like to do all of this and talk all this crazy stuff for money is insane. Like it is absolutely insane. If you can't do it for free, you shouldn't be doing it. I do it for free. I just hit 1.1 million views. I did it for free, all free. Why does it cost money to come on here and be unfactual? It shouldn't cost anybody nothing to come here and get the facts. Let alone, like, if you're spreading misinformation, you should have to pay a monthly subscription to come to YouTube and do that kind of shit. That's my opinion. You shouldn't be rewarded and paid to come here and lie. For what?
Well,
shit. And that's real spill, man. I respect you. I apologize. I doxed you. It was a time in my career where I wasn't, you know what I'm saying? I was not doing the right shit, Tiffany. I don't have no problem with you. I don't like when, I don't like to foster a chat or an environment where people talk ugly about you. And I don't like when it happens to me either. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm human.
Right. Well, the problem is, Benny, and see, this is the problem. When you doxed me, you doxed someone that was really abusive towards me, who I finally got away from, who Ziggy is trying to actually reach out to and contact now. So that's a problem for me. And you doxed my family. I appreciate that I appreciate that you recognize that it was the wrong decision to make. I don't even really want to talk about that right now because I'd rather honestly
You just rather kind of raise it but not really touch on it while you have me here?
Well, I mean, it's not like, it can't be undone. It's fine. It's over with. I've been doxxed a million times, but yes.
You did that. I did that. And I'm not justifying it, but I did it because I watched you let people dox me in your chat.
I don't believe I ever doxed you.
No, not you. I said you allowed people to dox me in your chat.
Okay.
You stop it. You didn't erase it. You let it go. I got control of my chat. My people never dox you in my chat. Nobody will never, but you allowed that to happen. So you allowed it to happen in your chat, but when I do it personally, I can let somebody else do my dirty work. I just did it. So now that's more upsetting. Okay. Like I was at least man enough or had the balls enough or was human enough to do it myself instead of just let somebody else do it. Like you let people dox me in your chat over and over and over.
Okay. I don't know when that happened.
Of course you don't. And I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad. I don't know when I doxed you.
No, I truly don't. It's okay. Let's move on past the doxing. So Benny, you had come up here to talk about Ziggy. And so
that's what it looked like. But really what I want you to do is I want you to be the bigger person. Like you
want me to be the bigger person?
I'm a male in this community. I'm gonna be a dog no matter. No, sit right here. Hear me out. I'm a man in y'all's community. I'm always going to be a dog, no matter if I do the right thing or not. It's you ladies that control this shit. And if you are going to be one of the top notch ladies in this shit, you got to be a bigger person than her. I'm just going to always be a dog piece of shit. To ladies, they're going
Well, if I'm going to be a bigger person
all the time. You'll love me.
If I'm going to be a bigger person than Ziggy, then taking out her channel wouldn't be being the bigger person. It would be taking away, you know, her livelihood, because he has told me she relies on YouTube to pay her bills.
So is it fair that she livelihood terrorizing the fucking wells about bones and puppies and shit? That's fair, right? Is that fair?
No, I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying, I mean, we could go round and round for hours on he said, she said, she did, he did, or whatever. But
let me tell you what, we could go round and round for hours about the shit people put on YouTube, but we can say the truth in about 1 hour. It's only got about, this whole story got about 1 hour's worth of truth in it. Y'all stretch it into 8 or 9 months worth of fucking lies and drama.
Right.
It's only 1 hour. Like, this thing will be condensed down to 1 hour of truthfulness. That's all this is. Y'all have made this thing into like just all kinds of stuff, man.
If you could sum it up, how would you sum it up? Like, what would your
ruined. That's how I would. Ruined.
How so?
Yeah, for sure.
Benny, how is it?
Destroyed.
How is it ruined?
How's it? What do you mean? How's it ruined?
You mean Summers? Why are people talking about? Please, oh my God, I'm getting so frustrated. You guys are really distracting, for real. Can everybody just calm down for 5 fucking seconds?
Good for you, man. You need to, you run the show over here.
So when it comes to Benny, see, I feel like
Yes,
I would like to have like a honest conversation with you, but I don't know if you're able to do that.
I can absolutely in public, I mean in private, but when we put on our masks and we jump online, like it's you know, ask anybody who's talked to me in real life and has a relationship with me. It's a reason why, you know, I can adhere with people when I talk to them in real life. Even the people that didn't think, like Penny, you would have never thought Penny would ever, you know, nothing. But talk to me in real life, and I promise you that we will, like, we put all the, there won't be 1,500 people between us. It'll just be me and you talking.
Well, no, I mean, I'm just talking to you person to person, not 1,500 people or 1,100 people involved. I'm just talking to you person to person. And what I mean by that is, like, if I was to have an honest conversation with you about Summer's case, why couldn't we do that in public? And I'm not saying this in a negative way. Why can't we do that publicly? Like, if so, you say we could do that privately, but we can't do that in public. So why would that? What was the reason for that?
We could, but I couldn't be involved in the monetizing of it. Like, if
say that again, I'm sorry.
I said I would do it with you publicly, but I wouldn't want to be involved in telling that story if it's monetized.
Oh, okay.
Or super chats or any of that. I don't want to do that.
Okay, I understand.
Is that cool?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I totally understand the whole reasoning behind that. Okay, so all right, what did you want me to help you with when it came to Ziggy? Because I know that a couple of people had come in there. A lot of people really wanted me to let you up here and talk about Ziggy. What did you want me to help you with? And how am I able to help?
I figured, and I'm just going to be honest with you, I figured that I had to use a negative connotation in order to get on the panel with you. So I made up a fib and said that I would like to take Ziggy's channel down. If you would let me up, I could talk to you about it. And so then you let me up, and then I wanted to discuss with you, really not about taking her channel down necessarily at all, but about you just being the big woman. I just had to use a different key to get in the door, was all. Like, just be like, you're a much classier chick, right? Like, I'd say everything about you is more classy. Man, just let that roll off your back, man. Like MG, like she can't even eat with her mouth shut. Come on, man. Like, what do you look like arguing with somebody that eats online every day? Who's sillier? The people who's crazy, or the people that want to fight with crazy people, but they're sane? Are you sane? I know you are. So you can't fight. You can't win a fight with Ziggy, or you can't win a fight with Molly Go Lightly unless you act like Ziggy and Molly Go Lightly. And you're not them. You're Tiffany. And it's just, it's unbecoming. Like, your people, I know your real, true supporters hold you to a higher standard. They don't, like me, they don't, because I'm a man in this community. Like, I don't depend on my channel, right? If I wake up tomorrow and the channel's gone, like, I'll start over. Oh, well, because none of this is about money for me, right? It's about, like, you want to know what, Tiffany? I actually want to be a part of bringing a child home in real life. That's what I really want. I really want to be able to help bring a child or a missing home in real life. Like, that's my desire, to feel the way that accomplishment and that level of success feels. I want to feel that. That's what qualifies me. I want to feel how great that feels, because I don't think you can do many more things than bring someone home from a situation like what we deal with. You can jump on all the airplanes, you can do all the crazy stuff, but there's never going to be a feeling that pure and that strong, man. Like, maybe watching your child born, but like not too much more than that, right? Like, that's got to be an awesome, awesome God-filled experience, and I want to feel that. That's why I'm here.
Where do you think Summer is, Benny?
I hope Summer is across in another state. If I had to pick, I hope that she's in another state. That would mean that this case would become federal. And if it became federal, it means it would be handled in the federal court, not in the jurisdictions of Hawkins County or even in Tennessee. Whoever was involved then would get quick, clean, long justice. That's what I want.
Who do you think has Summer? Who do you think harms Summer?
I don't know, because you got the FBI that say that she went down the bell and her scent stopped at the road. And then you got Hawkins County TBI saying that, and I quote, "There's the very real possibility that she wandered away from her home and became lost in the mountainous regions surrounding her home." Who are we to believe?
Who do you
Dr.
believe?
Phil tells us believe the FBI, right? When he lost,
What if I was to tell you, Benny, what if I was to tell you that I think you don't truly feel the way that you tell everybody you do?
I mean, I get told that every day.
You do?
Like, every day. People are always telling me what they think I should be feeling, or what they know I feel.
No, I'm not telling you how you should be feeling. I'm asking you how you would feel if I told you that you looked like you saw a ghost when you were in Tennessee and standing outside your car outside that hotel room, and you look scared as fuck.
I haven't been scared in years. Scared, like, can you give me some context outside the room? Like, when?
No, when you got to your hotel and had left Ben Hill Road, you had been up there that first day. When you returned to your hotel and you were in the parking lot, you looked very ill.
Yeah, I know. Well, so right as I was leaving, him and I, it's when he introduced me to Puddles the dog. And Puddles and Yucky out of all the dogs that are there, they would have been around when Summer went missing that day. And as I was leaving, Tim was like, man, have you ever wished that you could talk to a dog? And I was like, I just had a weird day on the hill looking at everything you've seen online. And he was like, I was like, what are you talking about, bro? And he was like, look at Puddles and Yucky. And I'd already noticed that they were different than the puppies, the younger puppies running around or whatever, you know. And then they're, you know, the little baby puppies, Ziggy's litter of puppies, they weren't even there yet. So he kneeled down, and Puddles run up, or used to, R.I.P. Puddles. He would run over to you and he'd be real apprehensive. And then Yucky, she would run over and she'd do much the same thing. And he was like, I wished I could talk to a dog, because Yucky saw it. And we sat there, and it was like me on the far left, Yucky in the middle, and Tim on the other side. And we just looked at the mountain, and it was just like, and so then I left, and I'll be honest with you, I cried real hard on the way back. And I was just really confused about everything that I had seen and what I thought I knew and what I wanted to think I knew. And that stuck with me, like that the whole dog conversation. I had a pretty good cry right there too on the hill with Tim and Yucky. It was just like, please, Yucky, tell us what happened. And, you know, she's got all the answers, and she just sits right there. And she sits there a lot of times, while I was there, I would notice that Puddles and Yucky would kind of change spots, but sometimes you'd look over there and Yucky would be just looking down the hill, and it was almost like you could think that she was thinking like she was waiting on Summer to come back up the hill. And Puddles too, like Puddles really had this standoffish demeanor, like maybe he saw what happened, was scared ever since. Like he was just scared. And he wasn't scared of Don or Candace. He was just scared of different people. You know what I mean? And it was just, it gave you the feeling that Puddles knew too, and it was a hard situation, because you're like, yeah, shit. I wished I could talk to a dog, still wished I could.
But Benny, Don said that none of the dogs were there.
What do you mean none of the dogs were there?
Don said that the dogs weren't there that day.
Was he with the dogs?
I don't know. I guess he was at work, right? I mean, according to what we know, he was at work.
So
You're telling me
you wouldn't know if the dogs were there or not, right?
So are you admitting that you don't have faith in what Don said about the dogs?
I would have to have known what state of mind Don was in when he made that comment. I am under the assumption that the dogs were somewhere in the area. Now, I can tell you definitively that between the tree cuts on the road and between Jackie Dobbs also on his property running a chainsaw, there were many sounds. There were machines working the trees. There were many sounds that would have had the dogs away. But that doesn't mean that they aren't somewhere right around. That's, of course, Tim's ideology. Like, he believes Yucky and Puddles saw what happened. I have a tendency to believe that it's in the realm of possibility as well. So where were the dogs definitively? I don't know. Don doesn't know. He couldn't know either. He wasn't there, or unless he was there, and that would totally refute what we've all known, is that he wasn't there. So, I don't know. It's just, it's an explanation for, I remember everything very vividly too that happened while I was there. So, and you know what? There also was the situation right after I got to the hotel where Molly Golightly was calling me drunk, trying to come over and fist fight me. That was the same night. So it was just a lot going on in that 24 hours. Now, people have asked me before, what do I think about the situation? And I wasn't trying to run your friend off. She was saying some stuff about SA and all this other stuff. And you know, like, this is the deal. And I told Don, and I'll say it publicly, like, if they choose to file charges on Don from SA, and a jury of 12 people and a jury of 12 of his peers and 2 alternates think that he was involved and it meets the threshold and he needs to be jailed, he's got to pay for his time. I don't support any of that stuff, you know, at all.
So,
nor the DUI, right? Like,
do you believe Jeannie and do you believe Mary?
Whether I believe them or not is not. It's nothing that I've really put a lot of weight on because I've been focused on a lot of different things, and I'm trying, you know, to be in the spirit of due process, you have to be able to compartmentalize. Like, you know, it sucks for Don that the situation.
What about Don admitting? What about Don?
Like, he admitted it. It doesn't affect the fact that I'm going to help him find his daughter.
Okay.
You know, like it just, you know what I mean? Like, I'm still going to help him find his daughter. It doesn't matter how many times he says the N-word or any of that. Like, I don't agree with any of that stuff, Tiffany, but I'm still going to help him find his daughter.
I apologize. I just accidentally timed you out, Graham Bam. I didn't mean to do that. I apologize. So, okay. So you heard Don admit that he assaulted his sisters, right?
On the internet, yes. I never had a conversation with him privately in person about it because it's, you know, it's not my business. It's not why I'm here. But yes, I did hear him say that. How
do you feel about that?
I don't agree with any SA of any sort whatsoever. I don't even agree with the way that a lot of women feel, you know, pressure and not reporting the scenarios because of the way that they sometimes are treated by law enforcement. You know, the stringent guidelines in which they take the reports oftentimes is a thing that, you know, victimizes someone. And so I don't agree with any of that whatsoever. Do I think it has a place in the disappearance of his daughter? You know, I couldn't say. Right? We don't have the little girl to look at. You know,
have you ever considered that if the age that Jeannie was when this happened to her was the same age that Summer was? Have you ever considered that it possibly could have happened to Summer as well? Like, as a thought ever crossed your mind?
Nope, not for 1 minute, because they had active CPS case going on. They've had active other CPS cases. The child's been looked at. She's been to the doctor. She's been examined. You know, they were there on the 14th to close the case, and then back on the 16th to reopen the case. So, you know, I don't have any reason to believe that Don had any sort of activity like that going on with the child. Now, you know, the situation could be much different if they didn't have people supervising the family before the abduction. You know, one could maybe allude themselves to that, but with all of the extensive history that they've had with the CPS, you know, the calling and all the different crap they do out there, those children have been examined. So no, I don't feel like has anything to do with this case. Plus, they passed a polygraph. So, you know, I know a lot of people don't believe in polygraphs, only for the specific reason that you can't use them in the prosecutorial arena of criminal justice. They are, however, very, very, very instrumental in the investigative phase or the investigatorial phase of these situations. You can see the proofs in the pudding with Chris Watts, right? Like, polygraphs don't just judge whether you're lying. They're also used as a tool to try to manipulate you or evoke a response or a confession. So you have to know that probably some of the questions that were on the polygraph pertain to all sorts of different things.
So, all right, could I ask you about the dogs real quick again? because I like to go back to that. Okay, so you
Sure.
said
I
that.
don't know how much. Go ahead. I don't know how much more I can say about
No,
that.
no, that's okay. I
And
just
I
wanted
will.
to talk about what you had said about them. Not, I don't want to ask you any particular questions about the dogs. I guess I should rephrase it. A statement that you had made about Tim believing that Puddles and Yucky may have seen what happened to Summer. That was of, Tim is of the belief that there's a big possibility that Yucky and Puddles had seen or possibly seen what had happened to Summer. Were those the only
He didn't
dogs?
say.
Okay.
I couldn't put words in his mouth that there was a big possibility. He didn't
Okay.
say that. He
just felt like
in the realm of. Yeah, he was just in the realm of conversation and like deep thought. And then, I also pondered the idea that, very potentially all the dogs, once they came back, had put their sniffers on everything that had happened around the house, and essentially, dogs aren't dumb. They could figure out smell or old smell, whatever, their summer smell. The dogs put it together. The dogs aren't stupid. So, do I think dogs at some point may have realized, due to the disappearance of Summer and all the activity, that something was going on? Yeah, for sure. But as far as that scenario with Yucky and Puddles and what I said, it was more just two friends in deep thought. Like, even if Tim thought that was the truth, there's no way he could know that because he wasn't there either. So,
Right. I guess I wonder, or what do you think about the fact that he only mentioned those two dogs?
we only
And not
mentioned those two dogs because
Mhm.
from what I remember, there was a litter of dog, like Yucky and Puddles. Of course, Yucky is Puddles' mom. So all the other dogs are also from Yucky, but from a different litter. Right? So they would have been. We're talking about. I don't want to screw this up. You got Yucky in Summer when she was little, and you had
Puddles would be next.
Puddles would be next. Then all the other dogs that were around there were from an alternate litter, which would have been a third litter. Then there was the litter that came with Ziggy's dog, which would have made the fourth litter. So I don't have a lot of context. But we've seen pictures of Summer with Yucky when she was a puppy. I don't have a context as to when that was, how exactly how long ago. But I do know that Puddles was a thing and Yucky was a thing at the time. The other puppies would have been, I guess, not born quite yet, or else really, really small.
So, well, what I find interesting is that Yucky was a baby when Summer went missing. Yucky was just a puppy. So, Puddles would be. Was Puddles even born at the time that Summer went missing?
Then there's another dog, and it's brown as well.
Brown. That's a brown dog. The light brown dog.
There was two. Maybe I'm confusing Puddles with another dog that was from the litter from before. But there's two dogs that remained, and then a bunch of other ones that were younger. So maybe I'm confusing Puddles with another dog. I guess I clearly am.
Because I would be more.
I think go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I think what I'm confusing is the fact that Tim had an affinity for Puddles because of his personality. Tim and Puddles really connected, and so I think that I'm just confusing the name of the dog.
Oh, okay. If you are, that's fine. You can totally correct it at a later time. So it might just like be a question mark on Puddles, but so
give the name, yeah.
Even if so okay, Yucky would be Puddles' mom. So if that is the correct name of the dog, but what about all of the older dogs that were on the property? Because Benny, what I noticed was the dogs seemed to, in all of the pictures, they really had a home under that tree where Summer Swing was. It seemed that was where the dogs really like to lay and hang out. So
In the
I know a
morning
lot of
time.
people. Uh-huh.
Only in the morning time when the sun's coming up, all the dogs lay not necessarily just under the tree, all on the hill on that eastern exposure. So as the sun comes up over the hill, all the dogs lay out on the lawn and they soak up the sun. And then once they get charged up, then they go running.
Okay. Well, either way, right? The dogs seem to like to lay under that swing at times throughout the day. So it was their resting area where they would lay down and relax. So they were probably very keen to, they were very familiar with Summer's scent. And they pretty much laid in her scent all the time. They were there where she was swinging all the time. But those were the older dogs. Now, Yucky was a puppy, little. My question is, now I know that you had stated earlier you're not really sure if you knew where the dogs were, if they were home or not, because we don't know if he was at work or not.
Right.
The older dogs, don't you think
I would
that
have to interject really quick. I would have to say that, based upon the results of the polygraph and what we know about the digital forensics and the fact that 9 months, basically there's no arrests, basically 9 months, there hasn't been an arrest, that, you have to start putting some validity in the things that Don says, in terms of, not the auxiliary peripheral shenanigans, but when you can bend Don down and start talking about things, you have to put validity in his responses, because the sheriff does, right? I mean, up until this point. Now, that's not to say anything about tomorrow or the coming days. We can't know that. But as of today, they're all on the straight and narrow.
Okay. All right, because I was just trying to get a feel for when you were discussing, the dogs, and that Tim had a strong feeling that maybe several of the dogs had maybe seen what had gone on. Where were the other dogs?
Yeah, that's a great question. Jody Sue, if you listen to any of her stuff, you mildly get the connotation that, she makes a comment about how the Wells dogs, she says it's almost like the Wells dogs were locked up at a neighbor's somewhere. And we know that during the time that the searches were going on, that Jody Sue had her dogs locked up in a big barn, she says, the big area. So, you start to kind of grab some ideology. Jody Sue's dogs' genetics are mixed in with the Wells. So, there's the very real ideal that day they were somewhere around, or Jody Sue even mentioned that the dogs could have been baited away. So it's just so hard to know, and with the sheer number of dogs, it's, it's always been easy for me to keep track of Yucky because of her name and her eyes, but all the other dogs, they all kind of look the same and they all blend together. And, even Yucky looks a lot like the other dogs. She just got the blue eyes. So, the dogs have always been a thing that, I've had so much question about, because from the beginning, Jody Sue has always contended that, the dogs are the key. The dogs are the key. I don't know what dogs.
I believe dogs are always the key. Why, how are you going to have a child disappear from a property with 12 dogs or 8 dogs or 1 dog for that matter? Never mind multiple dogs. So,
well, at the same time, Tiffany, I think that it's pretty easy to understand, once you've been down there, that those dogs, they eat at the Wells, but they don't really belong to anybody. They don't listen to the Wells. Like, they don't sit down. They don't fetch. Like, if you sit, like, anything that has your scent on it, right? Like, and I don't mean just your scent. It has nothing to do with your scent, but like, I like to drink Dr. Pepper in the bottles, right? And I smoke cigarettes, and I put a lighter down. Anything you put down, the dogs are so inquisitive, they come right up and they grab it and they run off with it. Like they're not like, you can pet them, but they're not feral either. But you know, in my opinion, like my 2 dogs, you couldn't bait them away with food as a stranger. These dogs are, I guess, different in Jody Sue's contention. You know, I only know about my interactions with the dogs, and you know, I wasn't there to mess or analyze the dogs or anything. So my interactions with the dogs were very bland and vague.
Right. Well, no, I appreciate you talking about the dogs, because I think that was, interesting conversation at least. Have you ever considered, has Candace ever discussed the dogs with you at all? I know I'm asking a lot of questions about dogs,
No,
but has Candace
No,
ever discussed them, if they were there or not?
I'd have to, I just ask her again, because I honestly don't remember. There's been so much talk about dogs,
Okay.
puppies, and all other crap. So I can ask her and get back to you for sure, and tell you what she says. Like, I'm sure
Okay.
she has. I just don't remember right this second.
Okay, yeah, because I'd be really curious to know, like, what Candace says. Like, yeah, I saw the dogs, or no, they weren't around, because Don always said the dogs weren't around. Jody, I believe Jody said she thought something was really off about the whole situation because she didn't hear the dogs barking. And
Right.
I guess it all depends on who you, or how much you believe from who, whether it's Jody Sue or Candace or Don or anybody for that matter.
Right.
We all process the information differently, and we all believe different people or hold more weight for certain people than others. So NatClo 5710 said, have they sent a super chat, and they had asked, have we addressed how too involved Benny has been with Don Wells yet? Question mark, in my opinion. So I think they believe you've been too involved with Don Wells. Do you have anything?
I do. Absolutely, I do. And I guess the way that I would rebut to that is, I've been too involved in a positive aspect, I'm guessing, for this person's taste. If I would have been involved in a negative light, it seems as if that I would have appeased this commenter potentially. I suppose my involvement may look too involved when I saw, 2 people being persecuted, much like you would, think about it in Jesus's days. Like, these people are being persecuted, and they're not guilty of a damn thing having to do with the disappearance of their daughter. So my involvement, too involved, like, again, like, I hate that it's been all too much positive involvement. I'm sorry.
So you don't feel that you've been too involved with Don?
I do feel like I've been too involved. Yes.
Or you do? Okay. Sorry. I don't know why the volume is so low. It feels okay.
But would I do it differently? I wouldn't. I would do it all the same.
So you wouldn't make any changes or anything like that?
No. I would like to add, though, that during the time when I was talking with Andy and Jody Sue, I was doing a live, and out of nowhere, Andy texted me and he told me he said, what did you say about the dogs? And I had not referred to dogs in any fashion during that stream. And so I texted him back and I said, Andy, nobody's talking about any dogs. And then he texted me right back and he said, don't talk about any dogs.
Mm-hmm.
So at that moment, I actually, I called TBI, and I told them about the situation, that the interaction that I had with Mr. Bernard. And I told them that, I think that they ought to look at his dog. And he has a big guard dog, Mastiff, whatever type dog. I don't know if that's the specific breed, but It is a big guard dog, and actually the detective got back to me and said that they did in fact know where the dog was, and that theoretically, that theory had already been looked into, and that that wasn't a concern. So
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if that's police tact telling me that, because I didn't expect a response from them at all. I just figured I would put the tip in and that would be it. So I did get a contact back and say that, yeah, they knew the dog was at someone else's house. It wasn't with Jody, and they didn't think it was with Andy at where he lived at. So they already knew about the dog and looked into it. And, not only that, but, you're assuming that there would have been some biological materials left around if a big dog had got a hold of a little girl. You want, in your mind, you can make that work. So, but I do agree with you. I believe that if she's somewhere in that area, that potentially, a dog would be the key in finding her.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that you discussed this. Have you, Benny, before I let you go, have you ever considered that? Well, it's just a question. I don't expect you to be honest with me, but have you ever considered that Don and Candace might not be honest with you? And if so,
I would expect you to expect me to be very honest. I mean, there would be no sense in here coming and blowing smoke. Absolutely. There has been a moment in time where I thought they could have been guilty. And then Don told me he passed a polygraph, and I believed him. And then about 4 months later, Dr. Phil told me and everybody else in the world that they passed a polygraph. And then the next day, that forced Sheriff Lawson to come out and make a report on WJHL, or no, it was Brian Enton, actually, on News Nation. Made a report, a subsequent report, that they passed the polygraph. So that was enough for me, right? I mean, as soon as he told me they passed the polygraph. Is it enough
for you, though, knowing that law enforcement can absolutely tell you whatever they want?
I mean, they didn't just tell us they passed one; they said he passed two.
Right, but what if they're just saying that?
It's a pretty fantastical what if, like that. Huh. What I would tell you is try to find a case study that you can look at publicly, where we can look on YouTube and find another situation. Doesn't even have to be a disappearance, but any situation where the police would have came out publicly and told the public they passed a polygraph when they didn't. And left them at large. There isn't one. So, I mean, you could in a fantastical sort of science fiction reality, you could come up with something like that. But in the real world, in the judicial system, it's very dry. It's very concrete. It's very black and white. So if it hasn't met the threshold, it just hasn't met the threshold. It's what it is.
Okay. So one more question, just to basically piggyback off of that. If you trying to think of how to word this the proper way so it makes sense. Out of both Don and Candace, who do you believe would be the one lying to you? If one were to be lying, do you believe one over the other? Do you have more faith in one over another?
I don't. I can tell you definitively, there's no way either one of them could lie to me, because if they did, the other would just tell me. I mean, I have a dynamic relationship with both of them. It isn't with one of them or the other. So a lot of times when I talk to either one of them, it's on speaker, and the other one it's stationed always with the three of us. So hasn't really ever been a situation that I didn't trust what they told me. And I've never felt a reason to feel like I needed to go back and check really anything they had told me, thinking it was a lie.
Okay. That's fair enough. Right.
You know, now in terms of like, you know, don't get me wrong. I remember the Mexican cartel coke thing, and the, you know, the feds got them in Boston, and I remember all that tomfoolery. You know, I just kind of look at it like the flip side of Ziggy finding bones. It's just like, it's like Molly Golightly, you know, buying dog food. It's like, it's just part of the theatrics, and it's unacceptable when he did it, and it's unacceptable when everyone else does it. You know, like, it wasn't a good look for him either. But he's not the only one that's not been graceful.
Okay, ask him if the flip on Wells is planned with Tim and Wells or just Tim. I don't know what that means. I've been lost in all your drama. Says ask him if the flip on Wells is planned with Tim or Wells. Oh, I get what you mean. I don't. I really don't. That doesn't matter much to me. I'm more worried about Summer, honestly.
Are they asking like is there a plan?
I think that the chat is.
Flip on Don?
Yeah, I feel like the chat is sensing that you might be flipping a little bit on.
Oh no,
Wells.
not at all. In fact, no, not in fact. This is really just enriched the sense that, you know, I need to be more helpful. Like, there's more I can do. Like this week, you know, in Don's absence, this week we're trying to get a contractor in there and knock out some of the major things. Like, we got to get the drywall hung in the basement ceiling. That's one of the things the CPS wants. So I've got a budget from my own money that I'm going to pay to have someone come in there and knock that out. Just start chipping it, you know, getting them done. So no, this has only strengthened my resolve, but what it has done is allowed me room to express who I really am now, right? So it's like, you know, now Don's in jail. It isn't this chance for Benny to run and flip on Don. It's this chance for Benny to say that where Don is at, I approve. I approve of Don being in jail because Don owed the state for something he had done before I was involved. Now, Don got a DUI. And I am really excited for where Don's at because he's getting help with his alcoholism. They're forcing it on him. The reason why it's heavy on my heart, I'm happy for Don, is that my sister just passed in December of alcoholism. And
yes, I'm very sorry for your loss. I heard that, and I'm very sorry for your loss.
We prayed for a DUI. One DUI, and some time in jail, and maybe some treatment and an interlock on my sister's car, she'd still be here probably. Some intervention, right? So that's why, for Don's sake, like I can't sit here and say, "Oh, got free Don." I'm not going to say free Don. I'm going to say free Don after Don has freed himself of his addiction, right? Like, that's what it's about. You know, they said 11 months, 29 days with the option of 180-day review after a treatment program. Like, if he wants to stay 11 months and 29 days, that's his business, right? Like, I'm excited for him every day because I know what my climb back to life felt like when I was trying to get sober. And it's I got sober in an institution just like he did or is going to. So I'm excited for him. And at the same time, this is my opportunity to show people that even though Don was wrong, I still support Don while he's in jail because I am supporting him to find his daughter, to find answers to his daughter. You can't find Summer and think that you can do that without actually helping Don, right? Like,
well, Benny,
that's one of the things. Yeah.
In all fairness, who do you care about more? Do you care about Summer or do you care about Don and Candace more? Honestly,
That's a slippery slope because when when you're not attached to it like me, I think it's very easy to find a cut and dry side. For me, I know in my heart what I think Summer would want to return to, and that would be her mom and her dad. So I want for Summer what Summer would want, right? Like, I guess in some strange way that if the rest of the world thinks that Don and Candace aren't good enough to have their daughter, well, you know, can we just give Summer what she wants for a minute, and then we can fix whatever the rest of the world thinks Don and Candace is? Like, that's what Summer would want, right? I mean, I think so.
Well, if they did not have anything to do with harming her or her disappearance, then I could agree with that if there were some changes made. But what if they did?
You know what?
We would never want Summer to return if they did harm her. You know, in the chance, and you probably feel.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
No, I would not want Summer to go back to them if they did something to her.
Okay.
And of course, that's not a flip. That's saying, like, you know, even my best friend, right? Like, it happens to all of us, right? Like, we not necessarily these situations, but we've all sat next to a monster who later on went into their life, did something horrendous to someone.
Mm-hmm.
So some of these things you just can't know, and you have to still have that human dynamic and that human value. You still have to be able to show love where love isn't being shown. And that's, you know, for the betterment of the judicial system, and the YouTube community. Like, we got to get this community on deck where it doesn't matter if it looks like Don and Candace. When they fall into our community, what we need to do is we need to find their children and then deal with their character later. Trying to figure, you know, dig in 8 months on Don and Candace hasn't found Summer. So do we think that if we would have spent 8 months digging on someone completely different than Don and Candace, we may have found them? Because 8.5, almost 9 months of focusing on Don and Candace, and they haven't cracked yet. So I think we've missed the opportunity. Whoever it really was, we were focused on Don and Candace, and they just walked right behind us. They didn't even have to hide. That's my opinion.
T. Bori has a really good comment here, and it's very simple, just a couple words. DW made it about him, in my opinion. Benny, do you agree with that? That Don made this very much so about him instead of Summer?
Absolutely not.
No.
Now, do
Okay.
I think that Don may have carried out some of that trend? I do. I think that it was easy for Don to make it about Don because everyone else made it about Don after CM made it about Don. So you got to remember that CM, before he even talked to Don, had already talked to Jeannie and Mary. So this wasn't ever going to be about Summer. This was always going to be about Don and then Candace, and their ability to parent. This was never going to be about Summer. CM had the ability to take this thing right on in for the touchdown, but he chose to make it about an SA, which then in turn made it all about Donald. So every single thing you had to process, you had to also process Don's character in it, because that's the way it was painted to your palate and your bias from the beginning.
I'm the one that got Jeannie in touch with Chris. I actually reached out to him, and the reason he came, about and started speaking with Jeannie and Mary and Trish is because I had asked him if he would please listen and, take into consideration that Don's stepsister had come forward. And I very much
didn't do the wrong thing.
Always
You did
appreciate
exactly the right thing.
But Benny, do you
The thing
see
is that he chose to process that information in the wrong chronological order. He should have took that information from you, added it to the profile that he was building on Mr. Wells. because we know we built the family tree day one of this thing, right? And then we start looking at everything available and we start adding it to the profile of the person applicable. So what that information was supposed to have done was supposed to have stayed in a vacuum so as to protect the continuity of Jeannie and Mary's prosecution. That sort of stuff isn't for public knowledge. And it did nothing and helps. All it did was cross it up and make it about Don. So we could have kept it about Mary and Jeannie if we kept it private. Their stuff would have been about their stuff, and they could have got their justice. And it wouldn't have changed.
If they would have kept it private, if they would have kept it private, they would have never been able to speak out, and that would have silenced them as survivors. And when survivors speak out, that would be like saying, don't speak out as a survivor, because if you do, you're going to make it about something. It's
well, let me tell you this.
Something else. But they did it for Summer.
What if you just got smashed, T-bone, right in an intersection, I don't know, by a drunk driver who's had 30 DUIs, and then you have someone, while you're getting your advocacy, you're getting your justice, your time in need, somebody runs up in front of your situation and says, hey, something from 40 years happened, completely unrelated to this right here. Will you look into mine first? It's exactly what happened in terms of the YouTube. Now, in terms of real law enforcement, it did not change what happens in Hawkins County one lick. On YouTube, it completely rearranged everything, which is, I guess, good, because it kept people from digging into the investigation more at that time. But that's all they did. Like, you know, how can you say that you care about your niece that you never met when you jump up and you decide to speak out during your niece's time of need? I'm not trying to discount Jeannie and Mary have or deserve a time of need, but this isn't it.
Benny, but the thing is, no matter whether they met Summer or not, Jeannie felt in that moment, the second she found out that Summer disappeared, that it was absolutely necessary to bring this to law enforcement, because if, God forbid, the same thing had been happening to Summer and she would have never spoken out, I don't think that she would have been able to live with herself. That is why Jeannie spoke out.
She could live with herself now. I don't
know.
Like, I don't know how she can live with herself now. Does she actually feel like she made the right decision?
Oh, I would hope so. I absolutely would hope.
Do you mean to tell me that Mary and Jeannie
can't
both
do this
live
here
in Utah? Hold on. You mean Mary and Jeannie both live in Utah, but they needed to send their essay case online to Chris McDonough in his trailer so that he could in turn put it online and then send it back to the same city these ladies live in? Does that make sense?
It was just
sense. That's not how it happens.
To spread awareness for Summer. If, God forbid,
I agree to disagree.
Well, that's okay. We can agree to disagree. And that's fine. But I absolutely think that Jeannie did the right thing. I stand behind her 100%.
I do too. I just think her timing was very skewed. Her timing
her timing was right on time, Benny, because Summer had just gone missing.
Her Summer disappearing had nothing to do with Jeannie's situation 40 years ago. Absolutely nothing.
It had everything to do with it in her mind.
But it had nothing to do with it.
But how would she know? Listen, let me spin it to you this way, because I think that maybe this will help you understand. If, let's say, and this is a hypothetical, let's say Summer was found, God forbid, and she had signs and it was affirmative that she had been abused in that way.
Yeah.
If Jeannie had never spoken out, would you still well, we would never know, right? We would never know that
No,
happened.
no, I mean, but we couldn't.
So what if?
But so if she never came out, where your mind would first go is to guys like Frank Light, who have pedo charges, Randy Hass, Sherfy Jr. You might
But
take
none
a
of
look
those
at who
people have
actually
been
could be involved.
forgotten. We haven't overlooked I don't believe that as a community we have overlooked any of those people. I believe that were eyes more so on Don, yes, but don't you think they should have been, knowing what his behaviors were previous and the pattern there? Don't you feel that this would be relevant?
I mean, it's great theory, it's great theoretically, but you got to make that make sense with the CPS they had in their life. I mean, like, it's not as if they weren't supervised. They've been supervised, right?
Are you privy to the findings of the CPS report? And do you know if Summer had a physical exam?
What I'll tell you is that they closed the case on the 14th of June. So, I can't render any opinions other than what's based on state fact. So if the CPS closed the case on the 14th, they thought everything was cool, copacetic. I don't have any reason to believe that CPS worker did a dereliction of duty. Why? Because they came back on the 16th and reopened the case and then subsequently took the boys. So I think they're on their job. I don't want to think that the CPS would remove the boys but not look deeper into situations between Don. I mean, it's just natural. I mean, I think there was already CPS. Wasn't there calls and crap from Jody about the shower BS, or I don't know what all the CPS cases. I don't want to create cases that weren't even real. But my point is that they've been around there and they've been supervising the family, and they never had a reason to think that Don did anything to that little girl.
What about the seven women that have come forward to speak about what Don did to them?
Do you know all their names?
I do not know all of their names. I know
two of them.
I know four.
So that's a spread, right? You got 8, 4. I mean, I don't know, right? Like, I would assume with 4 victims, it doesn't have anything to do with Summers case. But if there's 4 victims and they all have a case, and the court decides that he's guilty and the people put him in jail, that's what they do. I don't have nothing to do with
why does there need to be more than one? Why for you does there need to be more than one?
Don't put that in my mouth. I didn't say that.
Okay, fair enough. I should have words in your mouth.
That's not fair.
Okay.
Because that's going to be clipped like I need.
Okay, nope. I retract that. You didn't say that there needed to be more than one. I apologize.
That's a huge stretch.
Okay. All right. I took it that way. So
you don't have to put words in my mouth.
I perceived it that way. I perceived it that way.
Just the allegation of SA needs to be thoroughly extinguished before it has its back turned on it. No, there doesn't need to be 4. There doesn't even have to be a whole one. Just the allegation needs to be looked into completely thoroughly, top to bottom.
So what about Summer?
What about Summer? She's missing.
Have you ever
seen an allegation? Huh?
Have you ever seen the way that Summer was posing in pictures and the way that she would hold herself in a protective manner?
I think that's one way that some people could spin it, just like he talks about, they say, oh, he talked about her in past tense. Well, if my mom came out here and say, well, have you seen the dog? I might say, well, it was right over there laying down. Does that mean it's dead? No. Right? Just because a kid has a black eye, does that mean that it's been abused? No. Baseball could have hit him in the eye. Right? It's all about perception, right? No, not every picture that I've seen of her, was she protecting herself. I
Right.
do
Not
know that
every picture. There were many photos of
I
Summer
don't
with
even know, like, I
Mm.
can visualize the connotation that you're making, like probably her hands in front of herself
Yeah, they
down
were
there.
like cupped in front of her, like in a very self-protective way.
I think that you could look at it that way, and you could also probably find children that may be in marginalized situations but aren't being abused, and that just have a body language that's that way. Like, that's the problem with the YouTube community, is that when we see something, the
And I'm
responsible
guilty
thing
of it
to do.
because it was one of the first things that I noticed when I was going through her pictures. It really, truly was one of the first things I noticed. So if it's the YouTube community, I am part of that. I
But we have to
saw,
be qualified. We have to be
sure.
qualified to
Mhm.
say that those things are what they actually are before we broadcast them to tens and 20s thousands of people. Like,
Oh,
it's a little
right.
bit
Of course. And
irresponsible to say that.
I have never, and I don't think, for the most part, I don't
We
believe
just
I
did it right
know
now.
anybody who has ever said for certain, no, I'm pointing out what I've observed. I've never put that
And
label on
you know
Summer.
that when you say when you say she was protecting herself down there, in your opinion,
No,
you
no,
didn't
I
say
said
your
she
opinion.
stands in a very self-protective way, not she was protecting herself down there. I said she would stand in a very self-protective way. I've always been very careful about the way that I speak when it comes to Summer. I don't ever
Sure.
speak on that as fact because I don't know, and I would never do that.
Yeah.
Truly, no, I swear to God, the words have never come out of my mouth that it was an absolute certainty. I am being 100% honest and truthful. It's only what I've observed and what I saw that led me to feel something might not be right. It was just something I observed that sent a red flag off to me. When Trish came to my panel and spoke about her mom, Jeannie came forward. That is really when it couldn't be ignored, Benny. And I am a little taken aback that you dismiss it the way that you do.
Dismiss what exactly?
This aspect of the conversation that we're having, I do feel you're very dismissive of the victims here,
I mean, you
or
have to
the
be specific, because I feel like you were
allegations that
trying
have
to
been
ask me
made
a question,
against
but
Dawn, and the
do what now?
possibility, the allegations that have been brought forth against Dawn, and then
More
in
passive. Like,
conjunction with,
I've not been passive at all. I said that if he's
no,
committed
not
any sexual
passive,
abuse, he needs to be jailed.
dismissive.
How's
No,
that
I know
dismissive?
that. What I'm saying is when it comes to Summer, I feel that you're very
You said
dismissive.
victims. You said plural victims. Summer is only one victim. We don't even know she's a victim, because Ronnie Lawson said there's the real possibility she
No,
wandered away from her home and became lost in the mountainous terrain surrounding her home.
I was speaking about the SA victims.
But okay.
So what I was saying was I felt that you've been very dismissive of the possibility that that may have happened or could have been going
You
on.
said I was being dismissive of the victims. Now you're saying I'm being dismissive of the
Well,
possibility.
you have been, and the
Which one
possibility
is
that
it?
it could happen is both.
I've been not dismissive about either. I've been very forthcoming and told you that he should
No,
be
you're
prosecuted
forthcoming
to the
for
fullest
sure.
extent.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna listen. I'm not trying to argue with you at all. I'm really
I'm not trying
trying
to
to
argue with you either.
have a conversation
I'm
with
just
you
trying to
here.
nail down what
Okay.
the question is.
I feel that you've been dismissive of the possibility that this could be an actual scenario with Summer. I feel that you've been dismissive of the possibility that this could have happened to her and of the
That's
allegations.
well, then I
With
guess I stand on the side of the CPS and the civic government. So if I'm wrong, then they're wrong, because I only believe what the CPS and the police tell me to believe, not YouTube. So if they say nothing happened, I believe them. Why would I spend a? Go ahead.
Did they? Did they say nothing happened?
Did they close the case on the 14th?
I don't know, Benny. That's the first time I've ever heard anybody say that.
What do you mean that's the first time?
I've never heard anybody say that the case was closed on the 14th. I swear that's the first time I've ever heard anybody say that the case was closed on the 14th. I've never heard that before.
They had an open case
Uh-huh.
that they were dealing with. They came on June 14th and they closed that case.
See, I didn't know.
Missing on it. Well, this is the deal. If you would be a little more approachable, you might be able to get that information. Like that's info talked about all over my channel. Candace has come on and said, right? Like they came to close it on the 14th. She went missing on the 15th. On the 16th, they came back and reopened a case, all on their own, but with a different worker.
Okay, all I ever heard was that they were coming the following day, which I don't even know was true. I've never known whether that's been true or not.
Well, now it's true, and you know it's true, and it makes sense, right?
I'm sorry.
I mean, it doesn't make sense, but you know it's the truth now. You heard it, and I'm telling you, like that's what's happened.
Well, I don't know it's the truth because I don't have proof of that. I don't have proof that the case was closed on the 14th. I mean, you're telling me that, but do I know that to be true? No, I don't have proof that that's true. I can take what you're saying into consideration.
I'm telling you it's true because it comes from the people that it happened to. It's this community that jades you to believe that what people that are right next to it tell you or that you can hear isn't true. Like, why isn't it the first thing that we try to do is organically find the path of least resistance about situations? Why is it that when we look at a picture and she's just posing, maybe it could just be she's camera shy, and that's her natural protective stance when she takes a picture, but we automatically go to, oh, she's covering her genitalia. That's a very self-protecting pose. Like, why don't we just go to, that she's camera shy and the way she poses when she feels shy, and then work from there. But once you go down to self-protecting, there's no way in your mind, if you're not educated to dismiss your own bias, can you get out of that hole where you're like, oh, she's self-protecting. Well, if you're not intelligent, you just get stuck there. You can't think that there could be a bit like any other reason in the whole world except for what you've been told. No, that's irresponsible. It's irresponsible to place weight on the vernacular and the past tense verbiage of people that live in Tennessee that aren't mental scholars, right? Like certain things don't apply, right? You've even got the behavioral panel telling you that Candace reacted the way she did to the word cornbread mafia, the words cornbread mafia.
Okay.
Do you
how do you feel about that?
How do I feel about that?
Yeah, the reaction of Candace.
Yeah, I feel like once you know the whole context, like you have to imagine, like, okay, Tiffany, let's theoretically say your daughter is taken by a random weirdo.
Mm-hmm.
Then let's imagine someone tells you a whole fucking organization of criminals has your daughter. That's like the step up from the random just weirdo bullshit. And now you got these Hollywood dickheads telling you, well, we think an organized crime of fuckheads got your daughter, ma'am, and we think you know something you actually know looking ass. Like, come on. Did you not? I mean, it took everything in the world to even get to Dr. Phil because I told him it was a bunch of bullshit to go there. It ended up being a bunch of bullshit to go there. The only good thing that came from it, in my opinion, was that he said they didn't have anything to do with her disappearance. Behavioral panel cleared them. and he was the one that dropped the info about the polygraph test. So I guess to refute all of the body panel, they're experts, they're qualified. Dr. Phil, well, he doesn't have a license to actually practice psychology, but he can still render professional opinions in front of millions of people. All these experts say they didn't have anything to do with it. Law enforcement says they passed polygraph. Law enforcement says she wandered away. Why are we still here doing this?
Because
We're
she
not
hasn't been
professionals
found
of
yet.
anything. We're not
We're not,
professionals.
but she hasn't been found yet. And we're people
No
who
doubt.
all come together.
Why
I
don't we
mean,
listen
and
to the professionals then? Can we listen to the professionals now and look somewhere else? Can we do that finally? Because
I'm
they've been
constantly
saying
looking
once.
in different places. I don't ever just focus on just one specific thing. But Benny, I have to ask you a question. During that interview with Dr. Phil, well, I've always been very interested in Candace's reaction of the cornbread mafia because immediately you could see the muscles in her face. It was no controlling it. Candace,
So
had
you're
immediate
sold on the
emotion.
fact that you sold on the fact that as soon as Dr. Phil commercial or as soon as Dr. Phil show came on, it ran continuous for 52 minutes without any interruptions.
No,
Do
not
you
at
know
all.
you do know that before all that body panel stuff where she cried, they had come into that day with all of that with them, just having went through the whole scenario with the dumbass Jenna saying that Summer had been found down in Georgia and that the person that had her had been abducted and that they're waiting on the picture to come in. That was all told to them at the hotel right before coming to the behavioral panel. So then they get there, and I don't know the exact exchange, but the way I understand it is when they got to Dr. Phil's is when they got the picture of the little girl that was recovered, and it wasn't Summer. And then she went on the panel. That context is completely missing. And I told everyone because I knew about what had happened right when it happened. Everyone else found out months later, or when was it? 6 weeks later, 7 weeks later, when Dr. Phil came out. We're like, oh, okay, us as the insiders, we got to regurgitate this information again because it's going to come out. So I thought during the time in the production, I'm telling them, hey, you got to tell Dr. Phil that he should play all of the stuff about the missing child that had been found. Like that adds to all of this value. But they neglected to put that in there. So all the stuff with Jenna and the counterfeit find, I mean, it was a good find. And let me retract that fully. Because let me tell you what, Jenny, all of this awareness, we actually did find a child. There was a child that was in a situation that favored Summer. It was seen, that child was seen by somebody and identified as Summer Wells. And they called it in. And they were able to stop the situation. They were able to detain the adult, get the child some help, and then they find out it's not Summer Wells.
So it wasn't during the interview that Candace got that text message or communication.
She got the text, the communication at the hotel, which
Okay.
I had corrected because originally I misunderstood and thought it all happened at the studio, and it didn't.
Oh, okay.
The initial call came in during the time they were still at the hotel. They were waiting on confirmation. Was it Summer? While they were on their way to the studio in that movement of leaving the hotel, getting in the car or whatever, and coming to the studio, they were still waiting on the picture because they were told a picture was going to be coming. once they arrived, or during the arrival at the studio, they got the notification that it wasn't Summer. It was another little girl. So
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what I was going to ask you. Because when you had said that her reaction, was based on, being told that there was a group of, a group of people or a group of criminals, how would you feel if you were told a group of criminals were possibly involved in your daughter's disappearance? I was thinking, well, I thought it was because of, the phone call she had gotten or the text message, whatever it was. Because
No.
what I had originally heard was that she had got it like right before, like that very moment, and that's what caused her to cry. That's what I had heard way back when. Yeah.
Yes. And
So
I
it's a
think that
correction.
I probably, yes, and I think that forgive me, I was probably partially to blame in getting that back to everybody a little incorrect, because it just was a lot going on at the time, and to be quite honest with you, it was such a traumatic event that after everything settled down, it was like they had a chance to kind of process it and then realize exactly how the times laid out.
Okay.
So it was, it was just a very unfortunate. It was the most unfortunate event for the Wells while they're in Hollywood or doing all this BS to get awareness, but a really great thing for another little girl that was, marginalized. So that's kind of the takeaway that people don't
Absolutely.
know about.
I'm glad that the child that was found. Sadly, not believed that a child was found deceased.
Correct. It was a win.
Well, it's a win, but it's also, Grace Summer's alive. You pray she's found, whatever way it might be. You want her found, whether dead or alive. You want Summer found. You pray she's alive, and that she's in good condition, and that she's not been harmed. The chances of that are probably very slim by now, but I always do keep hope. I did always wonder why that emotion came from Candace, and I don't know if she ever discussed it with you. Was it because was she familiar with that term, the cornbread mafia? Was that something she was familiar with?
No,
like she knew what that was, or
no, she didn't have any idea, but it was just an overload.
okay, like just the pressure of it all.
Yeah, it was just like, and sort of that next bump up. It's like, I think that if you had to pick between the child being taken by one weirdo or a cartel of weirdos, like I would always probably pick one weirdo, like you just don't want to believe that your child is in some sort of organized deal. And, they kind of kept pressing the idea from what I understand. And she just didn't have anything to do with the cornbread mafia. It just had to do with being done with the dumb shit.
Thank you. Well, Benny, I appreciate that you came up here and we were able to I think this is the first conversation that I've ever had with you where we were able to discuss. I've never discussed Summer's case with you.
Yes, ma'am.
I appreciate you being respectful. Aside, we have some very differing beliefs on certain things. Sure. But all in all, I hope that it's helpful to the people at least watching and listening, because at the end of the day, Summer is still missing. I think that there's been a lot of animosity throughout the community. A lot of us don't even know one another, and we have these preconceived notions about certain people that we don't even know and whatnot. And we're all guilty of judging, and we're all guilty of passing judgment on people. And I think both of us could probably agree that we've both done that. I've done it. Yeah. And I think, it is a hard situation. And I think that we've probably made some headway here. and having this discussion, and I'd be curious to
Yes,
see
ma'am.
what, the chat has been a little difficult. I think it's hard on some people, probably on both ends, with you talking to me and me talking to you.
Sure.
So I
Summer's
kind of
worth it though, right?
a couple times. Huh?
Summer is worth us talking, right?
Absolutely,
Like, if
yeah.
anyone-
Summer is worth talking
if
and
anyone
having
has-
a discussion.
I'm sorry, I'm talking over you. It seems like the lag between us gets longer.
You're
and
fine.
Shorter. I apologize, but
You're fine.
if anyone has a problem with me talking to me based on anything they've heard about her and her past that they think they heard, like, then they're not really here for Summer. And in my opinion, if anyone has a problem with Tiffany talking to Benny about Summer, then they're not really here for Summer either. Like, we should, like, wouldn't it suck that the person that we least want to talk to could be the most helpful in this situation? Like, that we miss out that way. And it's not just us missing out. Summer Moon Utah Wells misses out.
Yeah, no, I hope that nobody will give you a hard time, and I will certainly hope no one will give me a hard time. But
Yes, ma'am.
we'll see, if I can be of any help, of course, you know where to find me. And
Yes, ma'am.
I appreciate you coming up. I didn't think we'd probably be here this long. And thank you, Penny, for being respectful. It was a good discussion.
Yes, I do. I really appreciate you giving me the time to come over and
Yeah, sure.
and have this. Yes, thank you so much. And again, I put my number in the chat. It's my actual number. Please feel free to reach out if you have any comments, questions, or concerns. I certainly like to alleviate your mind if I could.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't see it. Are you talking to the chat?
No, the private chat.
Oh, the private chat. I was gonna say you put your number in the chat. Okay, I think I already have it. You've called my phone before, I think.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Yep, I see it there. I didn't even realize I had other chat. I had other comments in here I didn't even see from like 3 hours ago. Okay.
Oh, all right.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you, Penny.
night, everyone.
You have a great
God
night.
bless.
You too. Bye-bye. Well, guys, the chat was a little difficult. I appreciate everyone that was here and respectful. I hope that you all got something helpful out of the conversation, and it was a bit different, of course. I'm not going to continue with the conversation about Ziggy. I honestly don't even, I don't know, with her. I just don't even care. She's honestly just irrelevant at this moment in time. I'm kind of tired. Hold on one second. Let me just go through. There were several super chats at the very end, I believe, and I'm so sorry. Let me actually hold on a second because I hate to ever ignore. Let me go to my YouTube studio because I don't want anyone to think that I'm ignoring them. I promise I'm not. They slipped right by me. Let me just open this up here so we can see who sent it. I think I missed two. Thank you guys. You guys are wonderful. And thank you for caring so much about Summer. See, it always turns back to Summer. No matter what, it always turns back to Summer. I just, you know what? We really just need to focus on Summer. I'm feeling so much different right now than I was at the beginning of my stream. So let me just go over here really quick. Grab this. Okay, so it was, okay. BDAC, thank you very much for your super chat. They said, how much did they search for Summer? Okay, that was a question for Benny. BDAC, if I'm accurate, I believe they went out on the 79th day. That at least that's the first day that Don Wall ever spoke of them searching for Summer. I'm sorry I didn't see that when you sent it. I apologize. If you could maybe leave that question in the comments too, and see if maybe he might answer in the comments. And mimeographics. What does Benny hope to accomplish tonight? I think he wanted to have a conversation about some of the things he wanted to clear up. I don't know if he feels accomplished. I hope he does. I hope that, you know, he would feel a little bit accomplished after coming up and talking for so long, because it was a long conversation. Thank you for your super chat. I believe you guys are the only two that I missed, but thank you both for super chat. I appreciate that very much. Thank you to all my mods who were here and everybody who supported the stream, for everybody who shows up for Summer all the time. And I appreciate all you guys. I'm gonna log off for the night. Thank you, everybody. Leave comments in the comment section, and I'll be back soon. All right, guys, you have a good weekend and a happy Sunday. I'm gonna be doing a stream for Summer, no drama, no nothing, just Summer in the very future, within the next couple days. So I really look forward to doing that. And everybody, much love. Good night.